Hi, this is Eric Martin, Report Game Geek. I'm here with Artem from Lifestyle looking at Alice's Garden, a game with lots of components that are a mystery to me right now because they're in bags. I get some idea of what's in there from the picture on the front, but what are we doing?
They do. So Alice's Garden is from this, it's a brand new game that we're expecting to release in 2020.
Okay.
It's from this evergreen genre of games of tile placement, but it has several new things that really, well, for me, it's one of my personal favorites, to be honest, out of our new releases. I really enjoy playing it. It's easy to explain. I'll just run you through how it plays, and basically, you have these beautiful bags with tiles inside. The shape, as you said, is shown on the front. This one is a little bit special, so I'll put it aside for now.
Okay.
Every player gets a board like this, and the first player receives this hat to denote that he's the first player. The first player chooses from which bag we're going to draw the tiles. Okay. So let's say there are two of us playing. I would be the first player, and I would say choose this one. Okay. So I draw a number of tiles, which is equals to the number of players plus one. So 3 in this case. Being the first player, I immediately get to choose one of these tiles and place it on my board. Actually, whichever way I like. I can flip it, I can turn it like this. It's completely up to me. Then you would grab one for yourself. You would also place it right here. And then you would become the first player, and you may choose a different bag with a different shape. You may choose the same shape. At the beginning of the game, the choice does not affect the game so much, but in the middle, it makes a huge difference. So let's say you choose this one, and you draw 2 tiles this time. So there's always
we still have
3,
one left over, and it just
one is
cycles
always
through.
carried over to the next round.
Okay.
So at this point, I should probably go over how you actually, what are you trying to do with these tiles, how you score, what are you trying to achieve.
Right.
Actually, all of the scoring rules for all the symbols here are on the board, and after your first game you'll be quite familiar with them already. So I'll run through them quickly. Mushrooms, you just have 2 of them in a column and it gives you 8 points.
Okay.
If you have more than 2, it really doesn't make any sense because you're just wasting space, but you're not getting any more points for that.
That's right. You need separate columns.
Yeah.
2 needs
exactly.
separate columns. Okay.
And if you have 1, it's perhaps even worse because you wasted one of your squares, but you didn't get any points. Chess pieces are pretty easy. They score you 5 points each if they are on the chessboard. They score you nothing if they are anywhere else.
Okay.
Right? Then we have trees. So with trees, you're trying to place them as far apart from each other as possible. This is the maximum number of points you can get, which is 8. So distance between them plus the trees themselves.
Okay.
Well, let's say there's a tree in between them. In this case, you only get this number of points. Not the whole distance, but the longest one.
Okay.
Then there are gardeners, or gardeners.
Yes.
If you place them next to each other, they don't give you any points actually, but you get to immediately draw from the special bag that I mentioned before. And there are just single pieces there. Okay. And you keep them until the end of the game.
I can show it down here.
Yep. You keep them until the end of the game, and you decide at the end where to place them. Now, you can probably already tell that it will be very hard, very difficult to neatly fill in the board completely with all the different shapes. If you ever play Tetris, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And these really help you at the end to make the situation nicer and get more points.
Okay.
Last but not least, we have roses. They're pretty simple and can be very powerful if you use them correctly. So you're trying to bunch them together as much as you can, basically. So, for example, this 3 roses adjacent to each other, that would give you 9 points.
Okay.
5 roses would give you 25. They're basically multiplied by themselves, right? You have more than 5. Again, you're sort of wasting opportunity because you could have 2 separate groups of roses that would give you more points than having one of 8 roses, right? The game ends when one of the players is not able to place anything on the board because there is no appropriate space. You can actually use that to trigger the game end at the time that you need it to trigger.
Right.
You can, of
Before
course,
someone else maximizes points on something else.
Then you calculate every point. There's a scoring pad for that. Not sure if you can see this.
Yep.
And yet you at the end you subtract 5 points for every empty area that you have.
Okay.
Important note: empty area means like
One entire, not each
like
individual square.
These are two empty areas
Yes.
essentially. Yeah, right.
Yes.
And these little guys, of course, help you to make the situation better for yourself. Now, there is a very interesting player interaction in this game. Well, first of all, the obvious thing that comes to mind, you can of course take the tile that the other player really needs. That pisses them off usually. But as you play more and more, you realize that actually the choice of the bag that you make as a first player is perhaps even more important than that, because you choosing an appropriate shape, you can actually put the other player in a very awkward position, because like they will not be able to place later
Right.
tiles very efficiently and stuff like that. So it's really, really addictive, engaging. You really care about what's going on with these little pieces, and yeah, I personally love it. So looking forward to. In Russia, it's releasing like this week. Internationally, it's in 2020.
All right. Thank you very much, Artem, for
you.
overview of Alice's Garden. Thanks.